Hello friends, we are at the Department of Veterinary Pathology routinely receiving samples from various governmental and non-governmental agencies as well as our veterinary clinical complex for routine histopathology. But many a times we are seeing they are not properly collected or not properly preserved, and without sufficient information we are receiving those samples. Hence I thought that I will deliver a talk on collection, preservation and dispatch of tissues for histopathology. So there are four things we need to keep in mind. The first is proper sample collection, second is proper preservation, third is correct labeling, and proper dispatch of the samples. So as far as sample collection is concerned, we must collect a sample as early as possible after the death of the animals to avoid autolytical changes in the tissues. And sample must be representation of any lesions if present, and also it should contain the apparently normal surrounding tissue. The size of the tissue piece should not be more than 1 centimeter, and if it is 5 to 7 mm in size or thickness, it is preferable. If you are sending excisional biopsy of small tumors around 1.5 centimeter, you can cut in half and send in the proper preservative. If tumor size is very large, then you can slice like a bread, and or alternatively you can collect the several representative samples. It will allow formalin or any other preservative for easy penetration and fixation. Tissue should not be frozen before fixation because it may lead to the artifact during the histological examination. As you are aware that gastrointestinal mucosa decompose rapidly, hence short section of gut if collected at necropsy should be opened lengthwise. It will allow the adequate fixation of the intestinal tissue. Generally, we are not opening the brain, but if you are suspected cases for rabies or any other central nervous system pathology, then a whole intact fixed brain is required for complete histopathological analysis. But brain, it requires for fixation of brain, it requires very large volume of formalin to adequately fix it, and hence brains are commonly transported to the histopathology laboratory in partially fixed state. And often the brain is housed longitudinally and one half sent unfixed for microbiological examination under proper refrigerated condition, and another half is used or put in the formalin as a preservative for histopathological examination. But fixing of intact or housed brains in a large volume of formalin for more than 24 hours is preferred, and then you can send it to the histopathological laboratory for diagnosis of the disease. Now at our department we are using different size containers for collecting and preservation of the samples for histopathology depending on the requirement. So here you can see the various size of containers which is available in market locally. You can purchase and keep for the collection of the tissues. Here I just give example of kidneys. You can see on the left picture the kidneys, the capsule has been removed, and also you can see the section of the kidney where you can see cortex, medulla, and on the lower right you can say there is a kidney with the necros area which is showing in yellowish part, orange color part. So I put a rectangle bar that you can see that you can collect from such sample two types of sample, and in that sample also you can see that normal surrounding tissue or apparently healthy surrounding tissue is also collected along with the necrosed part. It is an example of kidney infarcts. You can see wedge-shaped kidney infarct, orange in color, and also you can see the cortex is hemorrhagic. So you can collect in two samples, at least two samples from this kidney. If you see this lung picture, it is an example of fibrinous bronchopneumonia. You can collect at least 2 to 3 samples as mentioned in the image. And if you see the interface between apparently healthy tissue and affected tissue or suspected for suspected pathology, so you can collect these samples like as mentioned in this image. Many times you say how many samples we should collect from the heart tissue. You can see the one transverse section of the heart is showing on the right side picture. You can very well differentiate right ventricle from left ventricle. And in the left hand side picture you can see one black line. You supposed to give such incident. There is no hard and fast rule, but you can use and open the left ventricle then on the right side. So at least 4 samples from different areas you can collect from the heart. It should cover the atrium, then papillary muscles and myocardium and valves. And if you find any other pathology in any other area, you can collect sample from those areas as well. Here how you can open the liver. You can chop or slice like a bread liver and you can see for any pathological lesion. But you can collect also sample from the liver and you can see very glistening smooth capsule is also visible in this image. As far as intestine is concerned, I mentioned earlier that you should cut open the intestine for proper fixation and penetration of the fixative. So as mentioned in figure A, though it is a pathological specimen, and you can see that you have to open such as mentioned in A, and then you can put in the preservative. Generally we are not opening brain, but this is unfixed brain, and you can see here it is housed in 2 parts, and you can very well appreciate here midbrain, pons, ventricle, cerebral hemispheres and cerebellum, and even medulla oblongata. This is an image of fixed brain. It will take several days in large volume of preservative. So here you can see the color has been changed after fixation. And for pathological examination and collection of tissue, you can cut serial sections starting from rostral end towards the medulla oblongata. And you can collect at least 4 to 5 samples as mentioned here, each one from basal nuclei, from thalamus region, midbrain, cerebellum and medulla oblongata for rabies or any other histopathological examination. So now after collection of the samples, I just move toward the preservation. Preservation of sample is very, very important. Place samples immediately in 10% neutral buffered formalin for fixation of the tissues. And quantity of preservative is 10 to 20 times, but at least 10 times is required to the volume of the tissues. And as I mentioned earlier, you can use variable size leak proof containers for preservation collection as well as preservation of the tissues. Rather than shipping large volumes of formalin, tissue samples can be fixed in-house for at least 24 hours in an appropriate volume and then transferred into a small volume of fresh formalin for shipment. It will reduce your shipment charges and also reduce bulk of the samples. So here I shown you picture. You can see the very large size of pieces has been sent. We are routinely receiving such large pieces of these tissue samples from fields, but it is not advisable because it will not properly fix the tissue, and sometimes tissue may not be useful for histopathological diagnosis. In jar you can see, as I mentioned, at least volume of formalin must be 10 to 20 times, but here it is very less volume as compared to tissue pieces. We generally keep the very 1 to 2 centimeter size tissue in the formalin for 24 to 48 hours and then we cut about 1 centimeter size, and you can see here we have kept very small pieces of about 1 centimeter thickness in tissue cassette with labeling, and this tissue cassette is ready for the tissue processing, for further steps of the tissue processing. So how we can recognize whether tissue has fixed completely or not? In left hand side you have, I can show you the red color, it is still blood is present and fixative has not fixed that area, so it is called bad fixation. On the other hand, if the tissues are very good fixed, then you can see the color has been changed and you cannot find any traces of blood in the tissue. So always process tissue after good fixation, otherwise the section at the end of the tissue processing may not be good and it is not advisable and may not be useful for histopathology. So now third part is labeling and dispatch. This is very important part, and many a times we are receiving samples at our department without proper information and PM reports. So we ask the owner or sender that you must provide all these details like owner's name, species, breed, sex, age, clinical signs, gross lesions, postmortem report, previous treatment, mortality, morbidity, along with the samples. Apply a proper label and instructions, if any, on the outer side of the sample bottle, and use waterproof markers when labeling specimen bags and containers. Never send liquid samples in plastic bags, but rather send in sealable jar. And samples should be shipped in unbreakable container with cushion and packed in such a manner that prevents spillage during the shipment. Now in summary, I would like to mention that collect sample as early as possible after death to avoid autolytical changes in the tissue. Samples should never be more than 1 centimeter thick, and preferably it is around 5 to 7 millimeter in thickness, and must be placed immediately into at least 10 times of their volume of 10% neutral buffer formalin or any other fixative you are using for proper and adequate fixation. Samples should be shipped in unbreakable containers with proper labeling and required information like gross lesions and postmortem report. Samples should be packed properly to prevent spillage during the shipment. And I have mentioned here references used to prepare this lecture. And thank you for watching this video. Thank you.